I know why you are here. And I know the heavy weight you carry in your chest when the house is finally quiet at night. It is that tightening in your stomach when you check your bank balance. It is the math you do constantly in your head while you are driving, while you are showering, even while you are trying to sleep, calculating how to make the ends meet, wondering if one unexpected bill will ruin everything. You work hard. You are a good person. You try to do everything right. Yet, you feel like you are running on a treadmill that never stops. You look at others, and they seem to flow through life so easily, attracting wealth without stress, while you are fighting for every single dollar. And in your darkest moments, you ask yourself a question you are afraid to say out loud. Has God forgotten me? Why is this so hard for me? I want you to take a deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. You are safe here. Listen to me closely. You are not doing anything wrong. You have simply been told a lie. The world has taught you that money is something you must chase, something you must hunt, something you must grab and hold on to with a tight fist. But this is exactly why it keeps slipping away from you. There is a hidden law of money, a spiritual law as real as gravity. The truly wealthy, not just those with big bank accounts, but those with peace in their souls, they do not chase money. They know something that most people never discover. They know that money is not a solid object to be hoarded. It is a current. It is energy. And right now, without realizing it, you might be standing on the hose, blocking your own blessing. I am going to share with you a secret that took me 40 years to understand. It is not a get-rich-quick trick. It is ancient wisdom that will unlock the flow that has been waiting for you all along. To understand this, we must look at two farmers, and a lesson that changed my life forever. Once upon a time, in a valley that had known many years of drought, there lived two farmers whose lands lay side by side. They were both good men, hard-working and honest, but they saw the world very differently. One day, dark clouds finally gathered over the valley, and a great rain began to fall. It was the kind of rain that saves lives, the kind of rain that brings miracles. The first farmer stood on his porch and watched the water pouring down. But instead of joy, he felt a terrible grip of fear in his chest. He thought to himself, "What if this is the last rain we ever see? What if the drought returns tomorrow? I must capture every single drop. I cannot let any of this escape." So he ran out into the storm. He built high walls of mud and stone around his fields. He dammed up the creeks. He blocked every exit. He turned his land into a giant bowl to trap the water, refusing to let even a trickle flow down to his neighbor below. The second farmer also stood on his porch. He saw the same rain, but he felt gratitude. He thought, "The Creator is generous. There is enough for me, and enough for everyone." He went out with his shovel, not to build walls, but to dig channels. He cleared the debris from the streams so the water could rush through his crops, soak into the roots, and then continue its journey down the hill to the farms below him. He kept nothing by force. He only directed the flow. Weeks passed, and the sun returned. The first farmer, the one who built the walls, walked out to inspect his wealth. But what he found broke his heart, because the water had nowhere to go. It had become stagnant. It turned foul and green. The roots of his crops rotted in the standing water, and the smell of decay hung over his land. In his attempt to keep everything, he had lost everything. But the second farmer walked through fields that were lush and green. The fresh water had washed over his land, nourished the soil, and moved on, taking the impurities with it. His orchard was heavy with fruit. By allowing the water to leave, he had allowed life to enter. I share this story not to talk about agriculture, but to talk about your bank account. Most of us, without ever realizing it, are living the life of the first farmer. We have been trained by a fearful world to treat money as if it is a rare, disappearing resource. We are taught that life is a competition for limited resources. When money comes into our hands, our first instinct is to clench our fists. We hold on tight. We are terrified to let go. We see a bill arrive in the mail and we resent it. We see a chance to be generous and we withdraw, thinking, I will give when I have more. Right now, I need to stay safe. This is the great lie of scarcity. It is the voice that wakes you up at 3 a.m, whispering that you are one paycheck away from disaster. It is the anxiety that makes your chest tight when you pay for groceries. You are trying to build a dam around your life, thinking that hoarding will save you. But just like the first farmer, when you stop the movement of money out of fear, the energy becomes stagnant. It stops serving you. It becomes a source of stress rather than a source of freedom. In our ancient tradition, we have a beautiful word for abundance. It is shefa. Can you say that word in your mind? Shefa. It means flow. It implies that divine abundance is not a static object, like a rock or a gold bar sitting in a safe. It is a current, like a river, or electricity, or blood moving through your veins. Think about the blood in your body. If your heart decided to hoard the blood, if it said, I am afraid of running out, so I will keep this blood inside the heart and not pump it out to the rest of the body, what would happen? You would die. The heart remains healthy only by emptying itself, over and over again. It receives and it releases. It receives and it releases. This is the pulse of life. Money operates by this exact same spiritual physics. It is meant to move. When you view money as something to be captured and caged, you are unknowingly cutting yourself off from the source. You are trying to be a bucket. Think of a bucket. A bucket has a solid bottom and high walls. It is designed to hold things, but a bucket has a tragic flaw. It has a limit. It can only hold a specific amount. Once it is full, it cannot receive a single drop more. And if you try to pour more in, it just spills over and is wasted. To get fresh water into a bucket, you have to empty out the old water. It is a life of constant limit, a life of calculating how much space is left. The wealthy, the truly wealthy, those who have wealth of spirit and wallet do not try to be buckets. They strive to be pipes. A pipe holds nothing. It has no bottom. It has no lid. It is open on both ends. Because it does not try to hold on to the water, it has no limit on how much water can pass through it. A narrow pipe can channel enough water to fill 1,000 buckets in an hour, yet it never keeps a drop for itself. It simply directs the flow. The hidden law that the rich know is the law of circulation. They understand that to increase what comes in, they must ensure there is an open outlet for what goes out. They do not block the flow with fear. They know that if they become a wide, clean, open channel for resources, the great source will send more and more through them, because they can be trusted to keep the flow moving. You have been trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in it, wondering why it is always empty. It is time to stop being a bucket. It is time to become a conduit. But to do this, we must look deeper into the ancient wisdom of how to construct this vessel, because you cannot handle the flow of a river if your spirit is still built like a dam. The ancient texts speak of a specific way to prepare yourself to receive, a concept that explains why some people work 20 hours a day and have nothing, while others seem to attract blessings effortlessly. In the wisdom of the Torah, we are taught that the world is built upon a relationship between two fundamental forces. There is the Or, which means the light. This is the infinite, unending goodness of the Creator. It is the rain in the story I just told you. It is the energy that powers the stars and the breath in your lungs. The light wants only one thing: to give. It wants to fill every corner of existence with blessing, with health, and yes, with sustenance. But for the light to exist in this physical world, it needs a place to rest. It needs a container. We call this the kli, the vessel. You are the vessel. Your business, your career, your bank account, your mindset, these are the walls of your vessel. Here is the hard truth that took me years to accept. The problem is never with the light. The sun does not stop shining just because you have closed your curtains. The radio waves are always filling the room, even if your radio is broken and cannot catch the signal. The abundance of the universe is constant. If you are not experiencing it, it is not because God has tightened his hand. It is because your vessel is either too small, cracked, or sealed shut. We often pray, "God, please give me more money." But if we were to pour a gallon of fine wine into a thimble, what would happen? It would spill. It would be wasted. The thimble cannot handle the volume. God, in his mercy, often withholds wealth from us because we have not yet built a vessel strong enough to hold it without being destroyed by it. We see this all the time with lottery winners who lose everything in 3 years. They received the light, but they did not have the vessel. So, how do we build this vessel? How do we widen our capacity? We must first understand what money actually is, because the English word money is cold and purely physical, but the Hebrew language is holy. It reveals the soul of things. In Hebrew, the word for money is kesef. It shares the same root as the word kisuf, which means yearning or deep longing. Think about that for a moment. Money is not evil. Money is not dirty paper. At its spiritual root, money is a physical manifestation of yearning. It is the energy of desire. It is the longing to connect, to build, to improve, to care for our families. When you work, you are trading your time and energy. You're yearning to create value for a token of that value. When you understand that money is simply yearning in motion, you realize that you cannot attract it by fearing it. You cannot attract it by hating it. You can only attract it by aligning your yearning with the yearning of the Creator. And what does the Creator yearn for? He yearns to give. This brings us to the most difficult paradox of wealth. It is a concept that goes against every survival instinct you have developed. To receive more, you must open your hand. I want you to try something with me, right where you are sitting. Physically clench your hand into a tight fist. Squeeze it hard. Feel the tension in your knuckles. Feel how your fingernails dig into your palm. This is how most people live their financial lives. They hold on to what they have, that last dollar, that sense of security with a death grip. Now, look at your fist. If I wanted to place a gold coin in your hand right now, could I? No. Your hand is full of itself. It is closed. Nothing can get in. As long as you are clenching tight to what you have, you are signaling to the universe that this is all there is, and you must protect it at all costs. You are blocking the new blessing. Now, open your hand. Lay it flat, palm up. This feels vulnerable, does not it? It feels like you are letting go of control. But look at the mechanics. Only an open hand can receive. By releasing your grip on the little you have, you create the space for the much that is waiting to come. This is the spiritual logic of the open hand. When you give, whether it is money, time, or kindness, you are declaring to the ultimate source, I trust you. I am not the source of my own supply. You are. I can let this go because I know there is more coming. When you hold tight, you are telling God, I do not trust you. I have to be my own God. I have to save myself. And God says, okay, if you want to do it alone, go ahead. That is a lonely, exhausting path. But I can hear your thoughts right now. I can feel the hesitation rising in your chest. You are thinking, Rabbi, this sounds beautiful, truly. But you do not know my life. I have nothing to open my hand with. I am drowning in debt. I can barely buy food for next week. How can I give when I am empty? This is the voice of shame speaking, and I want you to silence it. You do not need an overflowing bank account to activate this law. In fact, waiting until you are rich to start giving is the reason you remain stuck. You might be thinking, Rabbi, I have nothing to give. Listen closely, because what I am about to tell you in the next minute will solve that exact problem. There is a way to jumpstart this engine even if your pockets are completely empty. A way to prove to the universe that you are ready to be a pipe and not a bucket. Starting today. You do not need to wait until your cup is overflowing to share a drop of water. In fact, if you wait until you feel ready to give, you will never begin, because the ego will always find a new reason to feel empty. The secret is that the act of giving is what generates the feeling of having. This is the ancient art of ma'aseh. In the modern world, people hear the word tithe and they recoil. They think of it as a tax, or an obligation, or a religious organization demanding a piece of their hard-earned paycheck. But I want you to erase that definition from your mind. We are not talking about funding a building. We are talking about funding your own spiritual liberation. Think of ma'aseh as an abundance trigger. It is a signal you send directly to your subconscious mind and to the Creator. When you take 10% of whatever comes to you, even if it is 10% of a tiny unemployment check, even if it is 10% of a $5 gift and you give it away to someone who needs it, you are performing a radical act of faith. You are saying, "I have enough to spare." Your logical brain will scream at you. It will say, "We need that dollar. We cannot afford this." But your spirit knows better. By giving when you are low, you break the hypnotic spell of scarcity. You prove to yourself that you are not a victim of circumstance, but a master of resources. You are telling the universe that you are a pipeline, not a dead end. And because nature abhors a vacuum, the space you create by giving must be filled by something new. But how do we handle the money that must leave us? Not for charity, but for survival? This brings us to the most painful part of your month, the bills. Think of the moment you sit down to pay your bills. The envelope is in your hand, or the email is on your screen. What happens to your stomach? It tightens. You look at the number for the electricity, the mortgage, the insurance, and you feel resentment. You feel like something is being taken from you. You pay it with a heavy heart, grumbling about how expensive life has become. This energy of resentment is poison. It stains your vessel. When you pay a bill with anger, you are pushing money away with negative energy. We must flip this script entirely. From this day forward, I want you to bless your bills. When you see the electric bill, do not look at the cost. Close your eyes and think of the warm light in your kitchen. Think of the hot water in your shower. Think of the cold food kept safe in your refrigerator. That bill is not a theft. It is a receipt of a blessing you have already received. Someone provided you with service, comfort, and safety. So, as you click pay or write the check, say these words out loud. Thank you that I have the means to pay for this. I am grateful for this service, and I release this payment with joy. Do you feel the shift? You are no longer losing money. You are circulating gratitude. You are turning a mundane financial transaction into a holy moment. You are affirming that you are a person who pays their way, a person of honor, a person who can be trusted. And trust is the currency of the kingdom. This is the foundation of what I call ethical flow. There is a misconception that to be wealthy, one must be ruthless. People think the billionaire part of the title means greed. But true, sustainable wealth, the kind that does not keep you up at night, is built on absolute trust. If you are a business owner, or an employee, or a freelancer, ask yourself, can the Creator trust me with more? If you cut corners, if you lie to clients, if you are dishonest in the small things, you are telling God, do not send me big blessings, because I will corrupt them. You must become a safe investment for the Almighty. When you are honest, when no one is looking, when you deliver more than you promised, you build a vessel of integrity. God looks at you and says, here is a partner I can work with. Here is a pipe that will not contaminate the water. So, how do we weave these high spiritual concepts into the rush of our daily lives? We do it before the world wakes up. We do it in the first 2 minutes of the morning. I am going to give you a morning routine that takes less time than brewing your coffee. Yet it has the power to rewire your entire financial destiny. It starts the second your eyes open. Before you grab your phone, before you check the news or your emails, lie in bed and say the ancient words of gratitude, Modeh Ani. I give thanks. Thank you, Creator, for returning my soul to me. Start your day with the acknowledgement that being alive is a gift you did not earn. You are already in the black. You are already in profit just by breathing. Then, walk to your kitchen. I want you to keep a small box or a jar there. We call it a pushke, a charity box. It does not need to be fancy. An old coffee jar works perfectly. Every single morning, before you drink your coffee or tea, take a coin, a quarter, a dime, a penny, and drop it into the box. Clink. Hear that sound. That sound is the sound of your vessel opening. You are starting your day as a giver. You are starting your day with an act of generosity, no matter how small. You are training your brain that you are a benefactor. You are setting the tone for the next 24 hours. I am here to add value to the world. Does this actually work? Is it really this simple? I once counseled a man named David. He was 50 years old, a carpenter, and he was drowning. The economy had turned. His work had dried up, and he was paralyzed by the shame of not being able to provide for his wife. He sat in my office, weeping, holding a crumpled cap in his hands. He told me he was down to his last few $100s. I told him everything I just told you. I told him to give. He looked at me like I was crazy. He said, "Rabbi, I am bleeding to death, and you are asking me to become a blood donor." I told him, "David, you have to stop the panic. You have to show your soul that you are not destitute." Reluctantly, he agreed. He started putting a few cents in a jar every morning. He found a neighbor who was elderly and could not fix her porch, and he fixed it for free, giving his time, his craft. He blessed his overdue bills, thanking God he still had a roof. For 3 weeks, nothing happened. The silence was deafening. But David kept going, because he had no other choice. Then, on a Tuesday morning, he was at the hardware store, buying a single box of nails. He was calm. He wasn't radiating that smell of desperation anymore. He struck up a conversation with a stranger in the aisle about the quality of the wood. That stranger turned out to be a contractor who had just fired his lead carpenter for dishonesty. He needed someone trustworthy. He needed someone who knew the value of good work. He looked at David, a man standing tall, a man with an open hand, and he offered him a job on the spot. 6 months later, David was not just out of debt. He was running his own crew. He did not win the lottery. He simply aligned himself with the law. He unclogged the pipe. He became a vessel that could be trusted. When you live this way, the fear evaporates. You realize that your job is not the source of your money. Your job is just one channel. The source is the Creator, and His supply is infinite. When you know this, truly know this, you walk differently. You sleep differently. And that is when the real transformation begins. This transformation is not magic, and it is not a coincidence. It is simply what happens when you stop fighting against the current and start swimming with it. For too long, you have lived in the before. I know that place well. In that place, you are a hunter. You wake up every morning putting on your armor, going out into the world to capture money, to wrestle it to the ground. You feel that if you stop running, even for a moment, you will be devoured. You are tired. Your soul is weary. You look at your bank account and you see only what is missing. You live in the shadow of the what-ifs. What if the car breaks down? What if I lose my job? What if I am not enough? You are a slave to the coin, dancing to its tune, terrified of its absence. But there is an after. In this new place, you are no longer the hunter. You are the gardener. You have planted the seeds of generosity. You have watered them with gratitude, and you have trusted the seasons. Now, you simply tend the garden, and the fruit grows. Money begins to chase you. Opportunities find their way to your door, not because you manipulated them, but because you have become a person of value, a person of trust, a vessel that is wide open. You become what we call a Baal Habayit, a master of the house. You are no longer a slave to your finances. You are the rabbi of your own wallet. You dictate where the money goes, and you send it on holy missions to feed your family, to help a neighbor, to build a future. You walk with your head high, not because you have $1 billion, but because you have the covenant of peace. You know that even if the bank account hits zero today, the source is still full, and the flow will return tomorrow. I want you to feel that peace right now. The world is so loud, always screaming at you to buy more, to fear more, to want more. Let us silence that noise. I invite you to stop, just for a moment. Put down whatever is in your hands. Unclench your jaw. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Pause for reflection. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and let it out slowly. Imagine a heavy gray backpack slipping off your shoulders and thudding onto the floor. That is your financial anxiety. That is your fear of the future. You do not need to carry it anymore. It was never yours to carry. Imagine a warm, golden light pouring down from above, filling the top of your head, washing down through your chest, your arms, your hands, and your feet. This is the Shifa. This is the flow. It is endless. It is yours. You are safe. You are provided for. The Creator of the universe knows your address, and He has not forgotten you. Stay in this feeling. And while you are here, in this quiet place of strength, I want to give you a declaration. Words have power. When you speak them, you create reality. I am going to say a few short sentences. I want you to repeat them, either out loud to the room or as a whisper in the sanctuary of your heart. Claim these words as your truth. Say this with me. I am a vessel of light. I release the spirit of fear. I am not a bucket. I am a channel. My hands are open to give and open to receive. I trust the flow of life. I bless every dollar that leaves me, and I welcome every blessing that returns. I am safe. Let those words settle into your bones. Remember the journey we have taken today. It is a simple path, but it is not always easy. It requires you to be brave. Remember the two farmers. Do not build walls around your life. Dig channels. Let your resources move. Let them circulate. Remember the open hand. You cannot receive a blessing with a clenched fist. Trust that when you let go, you make room for more. Remember to bless your bills. Turn your resentment into gratitude. Change the energy of your money from stress to thankfulness. And remember the small coin in the morning. Start your day as a giver, and the universe will recognize you as a partner. You have the map now. The hidden law is no longer hidden from you. The only question that remains is, will you walk it? You do not have to change everything overnight. Just start. Start with one honest prayer. Start with $1 given in faith. Start with one moment of gratitude instead of worry. As you walk this path, you will find that the heaviness in your chest begins to lift. You will find that the numbers on the screen matter less, and the peace in your home matters more. And miraculously, when you stop worshiping the money will start serving you. If this message has brought a moment of peace to your soul, if it has lightened the burden you have been carrying, you do not need to do much in return. I simply ask you to seal this covenant for yourself. Write in the comments below, as a promise to your own future, I choose faith over fear. Write it down so you can see it. Let it be your first act of open-handed trust. And if you wish to keep filling your vessel with words that heal and wisdom that strengthens, you may continue listening to the next video. Go in peace. Trust the flow. Shalom, my friends.